Before I really dive into the fabric of what I'm going to say, I want to preface this and say that the theme of this video is really all about talking about pain, defense mechanisms, the avoidance of pain, the utilization of defense mechanisms as a means for obviously defending against pain, against reality, right? Um, I was spending some time reflecting on defense mechanisms, of all different sorts and everything, whether it's projections, displacement, sublimation, um, appeasing. I think that appeasing is a defense mechanism, right? Kind of allowing yourself to be inauthentic, disaligned, misaligned with who you really are for the sake of someone or something, whatever it is, right? And I was taking the time to think about it, and I was really looking at it. I was looking at defense mechanisms. I was looking at the things that I've given into in my life. I have experience with codependency. I have experience with people pleasing, appeasing, and it's fascinating too. In the times that I have appeased, like I've looked at it and I've been like, wow, like that's. It's kind of. I'm not trying to judge myself or anything. It's just kind of. It's like whoa, that's weird. I'm choosing to like self-sacrifice for something else or for somebody else, and it's entirely my fault, my responsibility. I am accountable for my actions. It's something that I choose to do, right? But then I was really diving deeper into the fabric of what it is that this all has to do with, and I was realizing that you know defense mechanisms, they can run your life, and not all of them are like unhealthy. Sublimation, I think, from what I've learned and understand, is the healthiest, which is when, an artist takes their painful emotions and puts it into lyrics, puts it into song, produces something, right? That's what we see with artists out there. Um, but if your defenses are consistently there as a means to avoid pain. That's a massive word right there. Pain is, I mean, it's not actually, that's a 4-letter fucking word, but it's, in terms of what it is that I'm talking about here, defense mechanisms are utilized as a means to get rid of pain or to avoid pain, right? But, and I know that I've made a video in the past literally on just a person being a fucking walking defense mechanism. Like everything that they say and do is a defense against whatever, right? But there's something to be said about pain and the avoidance of pain. And listen, I'm not here to like shame anybody at all. I've said it before, this is a safe space. With everything that I've learned about pain, it's a necessary, like, sense of integration, if you do something or say something as a means to avoid or get rid of pain, like, for instance, appeasing. If you say something that you don't actually mean or that's not true because what you would say that you do mean that is true doesn't get you what you want, and maybe, for instance, you lie, right? You lie and you utilize that as a defense mechanism to get what you want, right? At some point, it's going to get you to a place that is even more unfavorable, if it isn't already unfavorable. Defense mechanisms are fascinating to me because, from what I understand, it points towards an avoidance of pain. We all have them. We all have defense mechanisms. Doesn't make them good or bad, right or wrong. Some of them are unhealthy, I guess I could call it. But when your unhealthy defense mechanisms determine your life, You know, like, the sitting with pain, the act of sitting with emotional pain, it's challenging. It really is. Whether it's loss, whether it's, you know, it really doesn't matter what it is. It's challenging to sit with. And I would argue that another challenging step in regards to that process is actually sitting with pain rather than utilizing defense mechanisms to distract yourself from the pain. I actually, excuse me, I actually, and I realized this either yesterday or today, but yesterday, and I'm not going to say what it was about or what it was for, but I said something, and I guess I would argue that I also did something as well. And then I later on realized that I was utilizing that as a defense mechanism against pain, right? I was kind of going into a position of prolonging something. And it's really cool that I talk about this here because, one, it's great as an example, and two, it's allowing me to become more aware of myself and my own defenses. Yes, I'm human. I have defenses myself. I have lied to get things that I want when, of course, you shouldn't lie. I have prolonged things as to not get an undesired result, you know. But really, you know, what I'm trying to say here is that defense mechanisms, when it comes to pain, right? And by the way, I'm still learning to get better at the literal act of sitting with emotional pain because I'm human and it's challenging, right? I am learning to squeeze the ever-living last drop of pain out of everything that I experience, and man, that's fucking hard. But it's healthy because it's necessary for integration. So here's the fascinating thing about pain, defense mechanisms, and all that stuff, right? Pain, we'll say emotional pain in this case, is challenging to sit with. Yes, it is, right? And to many people, including my past self, the idea and act of squeezing the ever-living little last bit of drop out of whatever pain a person is experiencing, you know, I think that most people would look at that and be like, why would you want to do that? Don't you want to, like, run the other way when pain shows up and it's like, hi there? But not really, because it's not like hi. It's like, I don't know, what is pain like? Pain is like, ah, right? And then you're like, oh, gotta go, right? And it's just challenging to sit with pain. It really is. Specifically in this case, emotional pain. But with everything that I'm learning, everything that I understand, there's a plane going by overhead. It's necessary and important to sit with emotional pain. We'll say specifically emotional pain in this case because it's a matter of ripening. It's a matter of maturing. It's a matter of evolving and growing and integration and all that stuff. And, you know, if a person just spends their entire life avoiding pain, they're not going to mature. And then they're going to end up becoming emotionally immature. And that usually ends up happening actually earlier on in life because something happens in a person's life and then they end up becoming emotionally stunted and they never grow, right? But if overall throughout your entire life you never grow emotionally because you're terrified of emotional pain and you just continue to utilize unhealthy defense mechanisms, I think they're unhealthy at least, that don't help you develop and teach you about the integration of pain and experiences and the depth of understanding and all that stuff, you know, like, you're just going to keep going down the same path that's going to get get you more undesirable, or I should say undesired outcomes, you know? So I've really been looking at that a lot, and it's just kind of weird when it's like, you know, you have defense mechanisms, and they determine your life. If we sit with the pain, we grow. If we avoid it, we stagnate.